Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show for a thriving life and business. And we are live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And we're on many podcasts as well. And today we are going to be continuing where we left off last week, which is talking about the new vibration of 2026, how to step into the next chapter of your life and your business with confidence and intention. And are you ready to live an inspired and empowered life? And so today, we're going to go deeper into why 2026 marks the beginning of a powerful new energetic cycle, a year one invitation to consciously choose how you want to show up in your life and in your business. And we'll talk about why 2026 is a fresh, energetic beginning, how to let go of emotional patterns and unconscious habits that shape your future, and how to embody a new energetic identity. And so today, we're really going to be talking about really embodying this new energetic frequency. And I'll talk more about that. Again, to summarize last week's show, we were talking about the power of one, and that this year, 2026, is a one vibration. If you add up 2 + 2 + 6, it equals 10, which equals 1. And what that means is we enter a whole new 9-year cycle this year. And so this is the perfect time for all of you to be able to start fresh, to start new, and create the life and the business that you love, so that you can create your inspired and empowered life. So first, let's talk about really, and again, last time we talked about letting go of old energies from 2025. 2025 was the end of the last cycle of 9 years. And now it's embodying the new. And we talked about letting go of that which you need to let go of. And now learning to embody this new energetic identity. So let's talk about what that really means. What it means is it's looking at how do you want to show up? How do you want to be in the world? How do you want to hold yourself? How do you want to make decisions? How do you want to lead? And all of you that are listening, you're leaders in your own way. Because you're listening to this show, I believe, okay, that those that are listening, you're on the leading edge, that you are here to be role models for those people in your life. Those people, or your family, your friends, your community. Now, you may not do all of that, but no, the more that you show up and be that leader or that person that you are meant to be, you are holding that energetic identity. And so this is really about you becoming. It's becoming the you that either perhaps you've had a vision of that you, perhaps you have had this potential of who you want to be. And now is your opportunity. Now is your chance to continue. Okay. I want to really make this clear. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress. It's about progress, not perfection. And it's moving you towards who you want to be, who you want to show up. And what happens is that as you become that more and more, you start to embody. So what is embodying that you, who you want to be? It means being able to feel in your body like you're living from that place. You're feeling it, you're knowing it, you're believing it. You're coming from an alignment. You feel that alignment. The confidence is coming from deep within you. It's coming from what I call your higher self and your soul. Your higher self is that wise, unconditionally loving you. And it's the part of you that you can call upon anytime you need to. And your soul is the core energy essence of who you are. It is the pure energy of your light, your love, your characteristics. So if you're here to teach or you're here to share certain things, and you've always had those abilities, that is part of your soul. You came in with it. They're like these innate abilities that now it's time for you to move deeper into them. And you may have been using them all along, but maybe you haven't realized it. Now, I'll give you an example. So I'll give you an example from my own life. When I've always been, uh, uh, I guess, a counselor and a therapist and a coach at heart. When I was growing up, my friends used to confide in me. They would feel safe with me, and they just felt naturally really safe. And people around me just naturally came towards me. And then also I love to lead. I became a leader in high school without I knew that's what I wanted to do. I became president of a chapter, a youth organization that I was very much a part of. And I became the president. So I've always had these certain natural abilities. And that's part of your soul. And your soul is that part of you that is here, that you embody. It's learning to embody. So Misty says, that's me as well. I have always been able to listen to others talk. So Misty, that means you have certain skills within you. Now, I don't know what you do for a living. I'm not really sure because we've never really talked about it. But how are you using those skills in your life now? And are you in a place where you're using them and you love the way you're using them? Because here's the thing, you could be doing a lot of different things. Like you could be a coach, you could be the counselor, you may be in sales, or maybe you're in some job where people come to you. So I don't know, but I would invite you to see how you're using your skills. And I invite all of you to start thinking about the skills that are just natural to you, that just come so easy without you even realizing it. Because those are your abilities that what I really believe is that your soul came in with a life purpose. Your soul came in with a mission. Now, everybody's purpose and everybody's mission is different. And and you can have all different ways that you express that purpose and mission. It doesn't always have to look like a counselor or a coach or sales. Misty says, I am a stay at home mom at the moment, but I drive teens to church and other events. They talk with me about all kinds of things. Misty, oh, thank you for sharing that, Misty. Actually, Misty, you're already doing I'm getting the chills, Misty. So Spirit really wants you to hear this, that you are serving your purpose right now. Now, it may change at some point, but right now, your purpose is being the safe place for those teens. And I really, I'm getting the chills. So I really want to acknowledge you for being the safe place, because right now, you're being a safe place for teenagers and kids in this world is so crucial. So God bless you, Misty. I love that you do that. So thank you for sharing. And I definitely, you're serving a very important purpose. So just really want to acknowledge you. Oh, good. Thank you. Misty says thank you. So what I mean by embodiment is really learning to because your soul has these natural gifts and abilities. Embodiment means being able to share these abilities and skills and gifts with more confidence. And it comes from that place of alignment. You're not performing. Like if you have to act as if to do something, then you haven't embodied it. Now, I'm not saying, because sometimes we need to be an as if to start moving into the place where we learn to embody. But the more that you can clear the things that keep you from embodiment or keep you from in alignment, then the more that you can be in the alignment and you don't have to perform. And ultimately you want to be the embodiment of that being that you really are. And again, each of you has your own purpose, your own way of being. And it's about moving more and more into being that, so that you can then share your energy with those that around you. Now, some of you may end up doing it bigger and more, and some of you do it like, Misty's doing it with teens, and that is so huge. So that's a great example of how you may be doing it in your life and maybe not even acknowledging yourself. And I just really want to acknowledge you. I don't know all of you out there, but I really want to acknowledge you for stepping more and more into who you really are, and then starting to embody it and share you with more and more people. And when you have more clarity emerges as you embody who you really are, as you embody more of your soul, as you embody your higher self, and you start learning to trust yourself and really trust. So, and when you trust yourself, what does that look like? So it looks like being grounded, you're centered, you're present, you're being the leader that you are. Or maybe you, like, if for those of you who are moms, it's about embodying being the best mom that you can be. Or for those of you who are the entrepreneurs out there, it's learning to embody being the entrepreneur and being able to be the best entrepreneur that you can be, learning new skills and claiming new skills and moving towards the direction that your soul is envisioning for you, and learning to come from your authority or your beingness with calmness. And being really, it's when you're in that place of confidence and alignment, there is a calmness that comes from it, from you, when you embody your higher self and soul. Now, it doesn't mean, because I've talked about those of you who listen on a regular basis, and if those of you who don't, welcome. Your soul's qualities like peace or calmness, love, joy, those are all the emotions. When you're in that alignment and you're connected with your soul and you're more connected and embodied with who you really are, you're feeling and sharing and love, sharing that emotion, it flows easily. And you feel confident in the way that you can guide or lead or share your gifts with others. And you come from your intuition. Your intuition is your guide. Your intuition is the guide that you to navigate your life in a way that's leading you towards your highest potential, because your intuition is coming from the higher aspects of yourself, your higher self, your soul. It's coming from the universe, from your angels and guides and beings of light. And so I invite you to ask yourself. So everybody take a breath right now. Now, if you're driving, stay focused on the road. And if you're not, or if you are, you can always come back to the podcast or the TV show on YouTube at a later time. So I invite you to slow your breath, taking a deep breath in and ask yourself, who am I choosing to be in 2026? And I don't mean who are you choosing to be someone else. It's what qualities do you want to express this year? Maybe you want to become more of a leader. Maybe you want to become more abundant. Maybe you want to you hone your skills as a coach or a counselor or a nurse. Or maybe you want to start following your soul's calling and move towards the business you're being guided to develop as an entrepreneur. And so I really invite you to ask yourself, from your place of breath and soul, which is your heart, who am I choosing to be in 2026? What qualities do I want to express in 2026? And we have, okay, Anastasia says the direction is a fork in the road at times. Yes, Anastasia, it is not always easy to navigate. Yes. And that is true, Anastasia. I want to support you. It isn't. There are forks in the road in our life and decisions to be made. And that's why the more that you can be in that alignment and connect with your intuition and connect with your higher self and your soul. And I invite you to ask, when any of you are faced with a decision where you could go one way or the other, I invite you to ask, which decision is for my highest and greatest good? Now, you may get an answer, you may have a sense or a feeling, or one way lights up more than the others. And that would be the path you want to follow. Now, sometimes, and I've had this with clients, sometimes it's not always clear which path is the highest path. And I invite you, this is coming to me to share with you, Anastasia, and all of you who may be have a fork in the road decision. And so I invite you to ask yourself, you may want to journal. If I take this path, what would my life look like if I followed this path? And I would journal. And again, when you journal, you want to come from a more aligned place, from a quieter place. You don't want to come from thinking. You want to come from letting it flow and allowing yourself to, if I took this path, blah, blah, this is what would happen. I would end up feeling da, 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 da. I would feel healthy and alive and vibrant. And then you want to ask, if you took this path, how would you feel? And I would feel like I was moving towards my purpose, or I would feel, I mean, I'm just making all of this up. I don't know. But if you get to see if there's a distinction between how you would feel between one way and how would you feel the other if you follow that path. So writing it down and journaling it may be a really good opportunity for you to help sort out which direction to go. And again, you want to ask your higher self and your soul to allow the information to flow through you as you journal, as you write, and to make it really clear which path would be for your highest and greatest good. And so I invite you to try that. You can let me know, Anastasia, if that is helpful for you. And I'd love to hear more about what happens. So that is a possibility. Okay. And then, so when you start embodying who you want to be, you want to notice your body. What would your body feel like when you feel confident, you feel aligned, and you're sitting or standing straight up, and you're moving and you're flowing? Your breath is probably deeper and more flowing. And your emotions, how are you feeling? And again, peace or love or joy. So, and then I ask you to open to one word for the year, one word or a phrase for the year. And I've been doing this in all my groups because I find that that practice is a really powerful practice for you to be able to really guide and navigate this year of 2026, the beginning of this next 9-year cycle. And so what word, like my word is expansive, and what you can have focus or trust or faith or clarity, or I mean, there's all these different words that you can choose. I mean, you can ask for a list of words and feel, but here's the thing, you don't want to do it from your head. You want to do it from your heart. What is your heart? What is your soul guiding you? What word are you being guided to model and focus this year on? And so I invite you to look at what that would be for you. What would that be for you? And so as we move into 2026, what I really want to support you in doing is getting clarity on intentionally what you want to create in your life, in your business, on every level. Now, there are only going to be a few things. I always say 3 at the max to focus on. Otherwise, you'll get too scattered. But you may only want to focus on 1 this year. You may only want to focus on 2 or 3. So, what I really want to support you is really having conscious creation. Now, I'm making a very clear distinction with conscious creation, and let me explain that. You see, what happens is you are constantly creating. You're creating, and you're like, well, I'm creating things that I don't want. Or maybe you're creating some of the things you do want and some things you don't want. And that's because you are always creating. But what happens is that you may be creating, or you are creating from a subconscious place, not a conscious creation place. So, and I'm going to do my quick Psych 101. So if you're creating from that conscious place, you're in alignment. Your conscious mind is aligned, aware, and connected with your higher self and your soul. So you're making a very conscious way of what is it that you want to manifest? What is it your soul is guiding you to manifest this year and beyond? Because this is a beginning, a new beginning for you. Now, if you're creating from the subconscious that means, and let me tell you, we all do it, okay? It's a part of being human, okay? So it's not about making yourself wrong. It's just, this is about making yourself aware that you are already creating, and it's learning to create from a more conscious place rather than from the subconscious. And your subconscious mind is the part of you that from the moment you were conceived to present time has recorded every moment you've been alive. And that includes all your limiting beliefs and emotions like fear or anger or frustration or shame or guilt, and even grief to a certain extent. Grief is emotion that does need to come up and out. And here's the thing, all the emotion needs to come up and out, and that's what you want to let go of. Being in conscious creation is understanding what are those limiting beliefs and emotions that are keeping you from creating that which you want. And know that the more you know, the more you are aware, the more you really get it, the more you can create. And it's about uncovering those unconscious, subconscious beliefs and emotions so that you can change your year, change your patterns, change your destiny. Okay, we got something from Mickey. Okay, so Mickey says the grass ain't always greener on the other side. And we are not fortune tellers, so we would only be guessing what these things might be. I don't want to seem out of sorts, but we have to look at the situation before thinking things are the way we think they could be. Okay. So, okay. So, Mickey, can you type in are you specifically talking about? What is it that you're really being guided? Were you talking about the forks in the road? I'm not sure exactly what it is you're specifically, but here's the thing. What I'm supporting you is to do the best that you can with the information that you have. And here's the thing. I want you to know that ultimately there are no mistakes. Ultimately, the most important thing in your life is learning from anything that you are doing or deciding. And I'm inviting you to look at what's coming from your heart, from your soul. Now, yes, you're not okay. I will get to you in a second, Misty. Yes, they are. It's coming from that place of it's a it's a feeling, it's a sense, it's a knowing. That's your intuition speaking to you. And it's from that place. And you are all more intuitive than you give yourself credit for. I bet most of you, all right? Most of you have a sense or a knowing or a feeling of something. And then you talk yourself out of it because you go into your head. And then you start self-doubting. And, oh, I can't do this, or it may not be that, but really, when that original feeling or sense is your intuition speaking to you. So I'm hoping that that helps you, Mickey, and it's not about thinking, it's about really sensing or feeling. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go to Misty. So, Mickey, let me know if that's helpful. And, well, Misty says, how can we know they are in alignment? So, how can you know if your goals are in alignment with your soul? Again, I'm going to go back to what I just said. There's this sense within you that there's this feeling like this, like when I make a decision to go one way or the other. Now, I go with a feeling sense. Okay, now this can get complicated, so I'm going to try to describe this. It's this sense and knowing and feeling that underneath this is what I'm being guided. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't have fear about it. In fact, it may be the path that brings up the most fear, but it's actually the path you're being guided to go on. So So it's about learning to tune in and being in that place of this knowing or this sense. Let me give you an example. I'll give you an example of doing this show. So when I first got the opportunity years ago to do this show, I and opportunities were coming to me, but I knew in my heart, and I had a conversation with Dean, who's the owner of the company, and I just knew. I knew that it was what I needed to do. I could feel it. I sensed it. I knew it. And so I did it. And so it's knowing, it's that feeling, it's that sensing that this is the path you're meant to be on. And if you're not sure, another way what you could do is you can ask for signs. A lot of my clients and me too, we ask for signs. Show me a sign, God or universe. Show me a very clear sign that this is for my highest and greatest good. Or is this the path that's in alignment? Show me a very clear sign. And your sign may be numbers, because signs come in different ways. Or maybe you start becoming more aware that you start seeing pictures, or you start getting aware of opportunities that may be coming to you. Like I've had clients say to me, I didn't even know you existed. And then all of a sudden, I saw you showed up in my email, and I knew that I needed to come to your masterclass. And so that was what happened, and that's how we connected, because it showed up in their file. And so it's really important for you to keep asking for the signs, to have more clarity, to be able to follow those signs. So hopefully that helps also. And Misty said, I would like to confirm, can the subconscious take over? I would like to confirm, can the subconscious take over if it is a matter of protecting the conscious mind? Yes, it can. So what I mean by that, so Misty, you are correct, it can. And what I mean by that is, so you may be on a path, like this is what you're creating, you're going for it, and then all of a sudden you have self-sabotage come up. And you have those self-sabotaging patterns come up. And those patterns end up that, and you're those self-conscious, those self-sabotaging patterns are coming from your subconscious mind. And I see, Mr. You asked, would that be a psychotic break? No, that would not be a psychotic break. It's your ego, okay? Your ego is really so much in fear that you start having self-sabotaging behavior that slows you down or stops you. So an example of that, I'll give an example in business. So let's say you're an entrepreneur and you really want to get more visible this year, and you want to get really visible and be out there, and your ego, or that fearful part of you, which is in the subconscious mind, you manage to distract yourself. Who's into distraction? So instead of making videos or going on social media or doing any of that, you distract yourself and then you don't do where you're going. So what happens is those self-sabotaging patterns take over and it stops you or slows you down from moving towards those goals. So hopefully that was helpful. Now, I know, and okay, so let me just explain a psychotic break and what that means. A psychotic break is when somebody has a split with reality. So when someone has a psychotic break, that means they start hallucinating or having delusional thinking. Like they start believing that something is happening when it's really not happening. And so a psychotic break is very different than than self-sabotaging patterns taking over. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to start coming to an end for this show, and I know that Anastasia and Mickey, I know that you have those questions, and I want to make sure that I'm going to get to your questions. I'm going to talk about them next week. I'm going to go further and deeper into each of the things that you talked about next week and go deeper into that. And we're going to continue talking about how to create what you really want for 2026 and how to really move towards your dreams and connect more deeply with your heart and your soul so that you're creating from that place of intention. Now, over this past show, we talked about being embodied and really being in that sense of confidence, and embodiment is feeling, believing, knowing, sensing, and really becoming that which you want. And we also talked about when you have a fork in the road, and it's asking the questions, what's for your highest good? Journaling and being able to start looking at possibilities one way or the other, and feeling, knowing, sensing what your soul is guiding you. So we're going to talk about all of this. So I'll get to the questions that I didn't ask, probably review the ones that I did about, like, how do we know we're in alignment? How do we stay out of our head? And I know Mickey had hers. So to be continued next week. Okay. I want to thank you all. I'm so grateful for your questions and your input and your sharing. And I look forward to supporting all of you next week to really come more connected with your heart, your soul, and what you really want to create in 2026. And I invite you to a meditation where you can go to inspiredandempoweredliving.com, and you go to inspiredandempoweredliving.com /meditation, MEDITATION. And your meditation can help you really get out of your head, help you focus, help you calm down so that you can ask what's for your highest good. It can help you make decisions. And I invite you to download that. And there's also a PDF. So go to inspiredandempoweredliving.com /meditation. MEDITATION. And I invite you all to join me next week for more inspired and empowered living on W4WN, my YouTube channel, talk4tv.com, and all the podcast sites, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, Amazon, and many more. And I look forward to connecting with you more next week. Have an inspired and empowered day and night and week. Goodbye for now.